Hello, hola, it's Miss Wrye. I have a book that we can read together for class for E3. It is called George and Martha, Tons of Fun. So some students read George and Martha before. Is by James Marshall, is the author, is to read book level. Okay, so is practice for some and is new for other students. So George and Martha, tons of fun. Five stories about the best of friends. Story number 1, the misunderstanding. What is a misunderstanding? Do you know? Is like when someone say one thing, but you think is something else. So you don't understand. Es igual de no entiendo. George was practicing handstands. This calls for concentration, he said. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. It was Martha. I've come to chat, she said. Not this afternoon, said George. I want to be alone. You ever feel like you want to be alone? Sometimes, Miss Wrye, yes. I hope Martha understands, said George, but Martha did not understand. Martha was offended. Martha was hurt. And Martha was mad. You get mad sometimes? Miss Wrye, sometimes. A few minutes later, George's telephone rang. It was Martha. George, she said, I never want to see you again. And she slammed down the receiver. Oh dear, said George. Martha was mad all afternoon and evening. Finally, she got out her saxophone. This will calm me down, she said. Soon, Martha was having quite a bit of fun. In fact, she was having so much fun that she didn't even answer her telephone. Oh dear, said George. Martha must still be upset. But Martha had forgotten all about the misunderstanding. So sometimes you just need time for yourself. What Martha did, play saxophone, what would you do by yourself for calm down? Story number 2, the sweet tooth. Sweets, candy, dulces. George had a sweet tooth. He just couldn't stop himself from eating sweets. You know what they say about too much sugar, said Martha. Let's not discuss it, said George. Late at night, George would raid the refrigerator to satisfy his sweet tooth. You'll weigh a ton, said Martha. Let's not discuss it, said George. This calls for action, said Martha. What do you think Martha will do? Help her friend, maybe? And she lighted up a cigar. Stop that, cried George. You'll make yourself sick. Let's not discuss it, said Martha. You'll ruin your teeth, cried George. We won't discuss it, said Martha. Please, cried George, you're ruining your health. No discussion, said Martha. Martha began to turn a peculiar color. George couldn't stand it any longer, and he fell to his knees. I'll do anything you say, he begged. Will you cut down on your sweets, said Martha. I promise, said George, and Martha put out her cigar. Story number 3, the photograph. Picture. One day, Martha stepped into a photography booth. I love to have my picture taken, she said. Click went the camera. Do you like to take selfies? When Martha saw her photograph, she was thrilled. "I've never looked prettier," she said. Is good picture? Story number 4, The Hypnotist. Hypnotist is like someone talk to you, make you go to sleep. George was trying to hypnotize Martha. "Your eyes are getting heavy," said George. "I believe they are," said Martha. "You are getting sleepy," said George. "That's true," said Martha. And in a moment, Martha seemed sound asleep. "Success," whispered George. What you think George will do while Martha is asleep. Ever so quietly, George tiptoed to the kitchen, where he kept his cookie jar. "Aha!" cried Martha. George is going to eat cookies. George was ashamed. He'd broken his promise. "Would you like a cookie?" he asked Martha. "Yes, I would," she said, and she ate them all. So how Martha help her friend now? She eat all the cookies, so he can't eat any. The last story, The Special Gift. What do you think is gift? Regalo gift? Maybe is book? It was George's birthday, and Martha stopped by the bookshop to buy a gift. "He loves to read," Martha told the salesperson. On the way to George's house, Martha played a tricky game of hopscotch. Hopscotch, when you jump on the sidewalk, on the numbers. Have you ever played? What happened to book? George could hardly wait for his gift. "I can't stand the suspense," he said. But when Martha went to look for George's gift, George's book, it wasn't there. "I'm waiting," said George. "What will I do?" said Martha to herself. "I'm waiting," said George. Martha quickly decided to give George the photograph of herself. "It's not much," she said. When George saw Martha's picture, he fell off his chair laughing. "Well," said Martha, "what's so funny? Is it nice to laugh at pictures of people?" "This is the best gift I've ever received," said George. "It is?" said Martha. "Of course," said George. "It's wonderful to have a friend who knows how to make you laugh." Martha decided to swallow her pride. She saw that the photograph was pretty funny after all. So sometimes it's okay to laugh together with friends. The end. So that is the last story for this book. But if you want to hear other books, if you don't have books at your house, I will read more books and put on YouTube videos for you to listen. Talk to you later. Bye.